Struggling single mom gave billionaire CEO her last $5. Next day, helicopter landed at her door. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Romance Rewind Stories. Before we dive into today's incredible story, I have a small favor to ask. If you're enjoying these heartwarming tales, please hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our latest uploads. It's quick, it's free, and it's the best way to support us in bringing you more emotional romance stories. And here's something I'd love to know. Where are you watching from today? Drop your city or country in the comments below. I always enjoy seeing our amazing community from around the world. Oh, and if this story touches your heart, don't forget to hit the like button. It really helps us grow and reach more people who love these kinds of tales. Now, let's get into today's story. Poor single mom gave billionaire CEO her last $5. Next day, helicopter landed at her door. The rain was coming down in sheets when Saffron Hayes saw him. She was leaving the grocery store with her 6-year-old twins, Ezra and Ember, after spending her last $23 on the bare minimum to get them through the week. Pasta, generic sauce, bread that was marked down because it was expiring tomorrow. The kind of shopping trip that left her feeling like a failure as a mother. That's when she saw the man sitting outside the store, soaked through, head in his hands. He was probably in his early 40s, wearing what had once been an expensive suit but was now ruined by rain and mud. No umbrella, no coat, just sitting on the curb in the downpour like he'd given up on life entirely. "Mummy, that man looks sad," Ember whispered, tugging on Saffron's worn jacket. "Maybe we should help him," Ezra added, his 6-year-old face serious with concern. Saffron looked at her twins, then at the man, then at the $5 bill she had left in her pocket, literally her last $5 until her paycheck on Friday, 3 days away. They had food for the week, barely. They had gas in the car, just enough to get her to work and back. $5 was nothing, but it was also everything. The man looked up, and Saffron saw his face properly for the first time, handsome despite being soaked and miserable. Dark hair plastered to his forehead, grey-green eyes that looked completely lost, and something about his expression, the devastation in it, made her decision. "Stay here, babies," Saffron said, handing her grocery bags to Ezra. She approached the man carefully. "Sir, are you okay?" The man laughed, a bitter, broken sound. "No, I'm not okay, but thank you for asking. Most people just walk past." "Are you hurt? Do you need medical help?" "No, I'm just—" He gestured vaguely at himself. "Having the worst day of my life, and I can't even get a cab to take me home because I left my wallet and phone at the office when I stormed out. I'm stranded, soaked, and questioning every decision I've ever made." Saffron pulled out her last $5. "Here, it's not much, but it's enough for a phone call or bus fare. Get yourself home safe." The man stared at the $5 bill like it was a foreign object. "I can't take your money. Consider it a gift. You look like you need kindness more than I need $5. You don't understand. I don't need money. I have money, probably too much money. What I need is—" He broke off, looking at her properly. "You're serious? You're giving me money?" "Yes. Take it. Get home. Take care of yourself." The man took the $5 with shaking hands. "What's your name?" "Saffron. Saffron Hayes. Those are my kids, Ezra and Ember." She gestured to the twins, who waved enthusiastically. "I'm Orion. Orion Steele." He stood, and Saffron realized he was tall, probably 6'2" or 6'3". Even soaked and devastated, there was something commanding about him. "Saffron, this money, I'll pay you back, I promise." "You don't have to. Just get home safe." "I will pay you back, not because I have to, but because kindness like this, it's rare, and it deserves to be acknowledged." He looked at the twins, then back at Saffron. "Thank you for seeing me, for stopping, for caring." Saffron nodded and returned to her kids. As they drove away in her ancient car that barely ran, Ezra asked, "Mummy, was that man a king? He looked important." I don't know, baby. Just someone who needed help. The next morning, Saffron woke to the sound of helicopter blades. Living in a modest neighborhood on the outskirts of the city, helicopters were not a normal occurrence. She looked out her window and nearly dropped her coffee mug. A sleek black helicopter was landing in the empty lot across from her small rental house. Neighbors were coming out of their homes, staring in shock. And emerging from the helicopter, wearing a perfectly tailored suit and looking nothing like the devastated man from yesterday, was Orion Steele. "Oh my God," Saffron whispered. The knock came 3 minutes later. Saffron opened her door to find Orion standing there with a professional smile, flanked by 2 people in business attire carrying briefcases. "Good morning, Saffron," Orion said. "May I come in? I promised I'd pay you back." "You came in a helicopter to return $5? "Not exactly. May I?" Saffron stepped aside, acutely aware of her tiny house with its worn furniture and peeling paint. Ezra and Ember appeared from their shared bedroom, eyes wide. "Mommy, the king came back!" Ezra exclaimed. Orion smiled, genuinely smiled. "I'm not a king, but I am the CEO of Steel Industries. And your mother saved my life yesterday. I gave you $5, Saffron said. "That's not saving a life. You gave me your last $5. I looked you up last night. Yes, I hired someone to find you based on your name and the grocery store location. Saffron Hayes, 28, single mother, works 2 jobs as a waitress and overnight stocker. Yesterday, you spent $23 on groceries, leaving you with $5 until Friday. And you gave that $5 to a stranger. That's not just kindness, that's sacrifice." "How do you know how much I spent on groceries?" Saffron asked, feeling exposed. "Because I own that grocery store chain. I checked the transaction records. And Saffron, when you gave me that money, you had no idea who I was. You saw a human being in pain and chose to help despite your own struggles. That's extraordinary. It's just basic human decency. Which is apparently not that basic. Do you know how many people walked past me yesterday? Hundreds. Not one stopped. Not one asked if I was okay. You did, with your children watching, teaching them compassion, despite being barely able to feed your own family." Orion gestured to his associates, who opened briefcases. "So I'm paying you back. And then some." One associate handed Saffron an envelope. Inside was a check that made her knees weak. $1 million. "This is insane," Saffron whispered. "I can't accept this." "You can and you will, but that's not all." The second associate handed her a folder. "This is the deed to this house, which I purchased from your landlord this morning. You now own it free and clear. No more rent, no more uncertainty. It's yours. Why are you doing this?" "Because yesterday was the worst day of my life. I'd just discovered my business partner of 15 years had been embezzling from my company. Someone I trusted completely had betrayed me. I walked out of my office in a rage, left everything behind, and ended up sitting in the rain, questioning whether I could trust anyone anymore. And then you appeared, a stranger who had every reason to keep her last $5, who gave it to me anyway. You restored my faith in humanity, Saffron. That's worth more than any amount of money." Saffron sank into her worn couch, overwhelmed. "This is too much. $1 million? A house? I gave you $5. You gave me hope when I'd lost it. You gave me a reason to believe good people still exist. Saffron, I'm a billionaire. I run a company worth $20 billion. This money, it's nothing to me financially. But it means something because you meant something. Your kindness, your sacrifice, it mattered." Ezra tugged on Orion's sleeve. "Are you really a CEO like Mommy said?" "I am. I run a big company. What do you do all day?" "Mostly boring meetings. Nothing as important as what your mom does, raising you and your sister." "Mommy works really hard," Ember chimed in. "She's always tired, but she still reads us stories." Orion looked at Saffron, and she saw something shift in his expression. "Can we talk? Privately? Just for a few minutes?" Saffron nodded, asking her neighbor to watch the twins. She and Orion stepped outside, away from the helicopter and curious neighbors. "I need to be honest with you," Orion said. This isn't just about paying you back, it's also about me being selfish. How is giving me $1 million selfish? Because I want to see you again, want to get to know you, want to understand how someone struggling to survive still has the capacity for that level of kindness. Saffron, I've dated plenty of women, models, actresses, socialites. All of them wanted something, my money, my status, my connections. You're the first person in years who gave instead of taking, who saw me at my worst and still chose kindness. That's incredible. You want to date me because I gave you $5? I want to get to know you because you restored my faith in humanity. The $5 is just evidence of who you are. Saffron, I know this is insane. I know we just met. But would you have dinner with me? Let me properly thank you and maybe see if this connection I felt yesterday is real? Orion, look at me. Look at my life. I'm a broke single mother living paycheck to paycheck. You're a billionaire CEO who flies in helicopters. We're from completely different worlds. So, different worlds can intersect. And Saffron, your world, where people still care about strangers, where kindness matters more than money, that's a world I want to be part of. Will you give me a chance? This is crazy. The best things usually are. Saffron looked at him, this billionaire CEO who'd shown up in a helicopter to return $5 and somehow made it about connection instead of money, and made a decision. One dinner. But Orion, I have kids. They come first, always. If this, whatever this is, doesn't work, I don't want them getting hurt. Understood. We take it slow. And Saffron, I already like your kids. They called me a king. That's the best compliment I've received in years. Their first date was surprisingly normal. Orion showed up at her house in a regular car, no helicopter, wearing jeans and a sweater. They went to a family restaurant where Saffron didn't have to worry about expensive menus or fancy etiquette. This is nice, Orion said, looking around at the casual diner. I usually go to places with Michelin stars and pretentious menus. This is better. Because the food's good, or because you're slumming it? Because it's real. No one here is performing. They're just eating and talking and being human. Saffron, can I ask you something? Sure. Why did you really give me that money? The truth. Saffron thought about it. Because my kids were watching. Because I want them to grow up believing in kindness even when life is hard. Because I know what it's like to feel hopeless and alone, and I wouldn't wish that on anyone. And honestly, because I had $5 and you needed it more than I did in that moment. You needed it too. You could have bought something for your kids, treated yourself to coffee, saved it for an emergency. I chose to help someone else. That's not heroic, Orion. It's just being human. It's more than that. It's choosing compassion over self-preservation. That's rare. Over the next 3 months, Orion and Saffron navigated their unlikely relationship. He met the twins properly, spent weekends learning to be around kids, listened to their endless stories about school and friends. He never tried to buy their affection with expensive gifts. Instead, he showed up consistently, played board games, helped with homework, became a reliable presence. You're good with them, Saffron observed one evening after the twins were asleep. I didn't expect that from a billionaire CEO. I'm good with them because they're yours, because they matter to you, which makes them matter to me. Saffron, I need to tell you something. What? I'm falling in love with you. With your strength, your kindness, your ability to choose compassion even when you're struggling. I'm falling for your kids, their joy, their questions, their absolute acceptance of me despite who I am. And I want this to be more than casual dating. I want to be part of your family, if you'll have me. Orion, your life is so different from mine. The media, the pressure, the expectations are all manageable. What's not manageable is imagining my life without you in it. Saffron, you changed something in me that day. Reminded me what actually matters. I don't want to go back to my old life where everything was transactional. I want this. You, the twins, family dinners, homework help, real connection. I want us. I want that too, Saffron admitted. But Orion, I'm scared. What if this doesn't work? What if the reality of dating a single mom becomes too much? What if... He kissed her, silencing her fears. Then we figure it out together. But Saffron, I'm not going anywhere. You gave me $5 when you had nothing. I'm giving you my heart because you've given me everything that matters. 6 months after their first meeting, Orion proposed. Not at some fancy restaurant or exotic location, but in Saffron's small living room, with Ezra and Ember present because they were part of this decision. Saffron Hayes, you gave me $5 and saved my life. You reminded me that kindness exists, that good people are real, that wealth means nothing without connection. Will you marry me? Will you let me be part of your family, yours, Ezra's and Ember's? I promise to show up, to be present, to choose you every day the way you chose to help a stranger. Before Saffron could answer, Ezra asked, Does this mean you'll be our dad? If you'll have me, I know I can't replace your biological father. We never met him, Ember interrupted. He left before we were born. So yeah, you can be our dad. You're way better anyway. Then yes, Saffron said through tears. Yes to all of it. To you, to us, to this family we're building. But Orion, I'm keeping the house you gave me. And the $1 million is going into a trust for the twins' education. I'm not marrying you for your money. I know. You'd have married me if I was still sitting in the rain with nothing. That's why I'm marrying you. Their wedding was a blend of both worlds, Orion's business associates and Saffron's working-class family. Expensive catering and homemade decorations the twins had created, designer clothes and genuine joy. During the reception, Orion gave a speech that made everyone cry. A year ago, I was having the worst day of my life. I'd lost trust in humanity, and then a stranger with her last $5 taught me that kindness still exists. Saffron didn't know I was a billionaire. She just saw someone who needed help. That compassion, that choice to give when you have nothing, that's the foundation of everything we've built together. So thank you, Saffron, for your $5. It bought me so much more than bus fare. It bought me hope, love, and a family. Best investment anyone's ever made in me. Thank you for coming back, Saffron replied, for not just returning $5, but for seeing that act of kindness and valuing it. For teaching my kids that generosity is rewarded, that goodness matters, that sometimes giving away your last $5 brings back everything you never knew you needed. 2 years after giving a stranger her last $5, Saffron stood with Orion in the backyard of their new home, bigger than her rental but not ostentatiously large, watching Ezra and Ember play. Remember when you landed a helicopter in my neighborhood? Saffron asked, leaning against him. I was trying to make an impression. You succeeded. Half my neighbors still think I'm in witness protection or dating a drug lord. Orion laughed. Should I have just knocked on your door like a normal person? Probably. But the helicopter was more your style. Dramatic, over the top, impossible to ignore. Your kindness. Dramatic in its rarity, over the top in its generosity, impossible to ignore once I experienced it. Saffron, you gave me $5 and changed my entire life. That's the best return on investment I've ever seen. Best $5 I ever spent, Saffron agreed, because sometimes the smallest gestures create the biggest changes. Sometimes your last $5 is the beginning of everything, and sometimes choosing kindness when you have nothing leads to gaining everything that actually matters. Love, family, connection, and the knowledge that compassion is never wasted. And that's where our story ends today. What did you think? Did Saffron and Orion's story of $5 that changed everything touch your heart? Let us know in the comments what your favorite moment was. If you enjoyed this story, we have so many more waiting for you. Check out our playlist for more heartwarming romance tales that will make you believe in love all over again. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and give us a thumbs up. Your support means everything to us. Until next time, keep believing in love, keep believing in second chances, and remember, the best stories are the ones that remind us we all deserve our happily ever after. See you in the next story.